What's up, everybody? It's time for another Full Draw Friday. This is episode number 34. I know it's been a while since we've had one up. I'll talk a little bit about that on this episode, and I'll also talk about your fall food plots, where you should be at on those, and what to look for coming up. It'll be a little bit of a shorter episode today, but we'll get in and out of here and head into the weekend. All right, hopefully everybody's had a good week so far. One day closer to the weekend. Maybe you're listening to this after work, so you're already on your weekend. So congrats to you on making it through another week, and that also means we're another week closer to the deer season. And I mean, it's right around the corner, especially for those of you down in Kentucky. I know you'll be hunting here in another couple weeks, and then even Missouri, I believe Kansas is an early opener too, so mid-September. You guys are right there, a month away, so it's getting close. We're getting excited about it here. Like I said in the intro, I'm going to talk a little bit about making those final preparations for that season, though, that's getting ready to be here, and that's with your fall food plots if you're doing those. I want to talk about kind of where you should probably be at on those and where I'm at on some of mine and some of ours on the client properties too. So you still have time if you haven't started yet. I'll put that out there to start with. So if you haven't started yet, it's definitely not too late. We're actually just hitting really the earliest I like to plant, mid-August. And that's if I've got everything ready and we got a rain coming, which I'll get into in just a little bit. But, I mean, you see on all the seed packages, August 15th to September 15th. That's a pretty good range to shoot for. Now, you don't want to just plant by the calendar, okay? That's kind of that rain thing I was talking about. I just mentioned. But that's a good range to be in. So you still got plenty of time to get those plots in. You got plenty of time to even get them prepped if you haven't done that yet. And I want to go over that too a little bit. So I've actually planted fall plots as late as the beginning of the second week of October, the end of the first week of October, in that range, in those 3 or 4 days, and had success with them, especially when you're talking about planting a grains and greens type of blend from Grandpa Ray's, or if you're just doing a winter wheat or a winter rye, even oats. Those are all good options if you do run behind, or if you try to get your fall plot out and it fails. I know we've talked about that in the past as well, so that's an option too. But right now, we're middle of August, so if you haven't done so already and you need to do it, get out there and mow those plots. Get them mowed, let them sit for 10 to 14 days. That way, anything that's gone to seed, when you mow it, you broadcast that stuff back out, and then it'll start to germinate. Then you can come back after that 10 to 14 days, and it'll be coming up through the soil. So when you spray it with your Roundups, your Clethodims, and potentially your 2,4-Ds, depending on what kind of food plot you're going to do, you're going to get a kill on that as well. So you're not going to have new stuff coming up that you just mowed down if you spray it too early after mowing. Also, it has a better effect if you let that grass kind of recuperate, come out of that shock a little bit, and weeds, I guess, from the mowing. The mowing should kill a lot of those summer weeds. They shouldn't come back, even if they've gone to seed. And if they do, they're probably going to die soon anyway. So that's kind of part of what I want to talk about when it comes to spraying for your fall plots. You got to be careful about using 2,4-D, even 2,4-DB, in your fall plots where you're going to plant them. We use that for burn down a lot, especially in the springtime. I'll go Clethodim, 2,4-D, and Roundup, and do burn down for plots, whether I'm going to do them in the spring or just to prepare them for the fall. That's because I have plenty of time to get rid of for that residual from the 2,4-D to leave the soil. And what that means is when you spray that 2,4-D, the Clethodim doesn't have any residual and the Roundup don't have any residual. But when you spray that 2,4-D, it will actually stay active long enough to kill something if you plant it too soon after spraying it. And a lot of your brassicas are broadleaf, so it's going to kill them. And a lot of your fall plot blends have broadleafs in them, even clover. It'll kill those as well, unless it's the 2,4-DB. So you got to be careful about using 2,4-D if you're going to plant, which I recommend within, a couple weeks of that spraying, especially since the time window we're looking at. If you're mowing now, you wait 10 to 14 days. Now we're talking end of August. Then you go in there and spray it. Now you're talking mid-September, getting that thing planted. And then whether you disc it or you just broadcast that is going to completely depend on your personal preference, maybe what you've done in the past. How much open soil you have is a big one. So if you mow it and spray it, and you still have a lot of grass roots and weeds laying around, maybe get in there with a disc just enough to turn that dirt up and get your good seed to soil contact. But if you have plenty of dirt showing, usually you can go in there and broadcast, especially with the fall blends, clovers even. They're small enough seed. As long as they're in contact with the soil, you should be good to go. You can roll it after that. You can cultipack it, whatever you prefer to use, whatever you have available. Those both work, even if you're not disking. So keep that in mind too. So we're going to mow it. We're going to wait close to 2 weeks. We're going to come back and spray it, and then we're going to wait till that stuff dies, and then we're going to come back and broadcast. Now, that part of it does not necessarily have to be like a specific, okay, 2 weeks after I sprayed it, I'm going to broadcast it no matter what. What I would recommend is let that stuff die, even if it's not completely dead yet, but it's getting close, and then plant in front of the next good chance of rain you have. We're late enough now that you don't have to worry about getting them out there too early, so they're going to mature at the right time for those whitetails, especially throughout the Midwest, like the mid part of the Midwest even, like when you get farther north, you can plant them earlier and get away with it. But where we're at, especially Missouri, southern part of Iowa, Kentucky, northern part of Tennessee, all that area, Indiana, Ohio, you still have plenty of time to wait for that rain. So I would wait till you get, a 50-60% chance. Hopefully we get some of those like we didn't have last year. We've already had more rain this year than we had last year. But wait till you got one of those coming and then go out there and broadcast that stuff, whether you disked it or not. If you disc it, go ahead and do that, get that prepared and ready, and then go out and broadcast ahead of that rain. That's the best advice I think I can give for your fall plots, aside from making sure you have plenty of soil that your seeds can come in contact with, is planting ahead of a rain, not based on what the package says, the date says on the package. So don't think just because it says August 15th to September 15th, okay, I have to plant it in that window somewhere just as soon as I can in between there, because if you get rain on August 10th and then you get rain on September 25th and you planted that between the 15th and 15th of the 2 months, you may have hurt yourself. You may not get anything come up. If you do, it might be minimal. If you get rain within 10 days after you plant it, you might be okay. So maybe that's a bad example on the back end, but I would rather plant something on the 25th, 26th, 27th of September with a rain coming the next day or two versus planting something on today's the 18th, August 18th, and then not having rain for another month, because that's what the package said I had to do. So keep that in mind when it comes to planting your fall plots, getting them ready, preparing them. That's kind of the process we do in the fall if we don't have buckwheat down, if we're doing new plots, anything like that. Also, your soil test, if you haven't done those at this point, you're probably not going to do yourself a lot of good for this year, so you may as well wait till the spring, especially because what you plant is going to change the soil composition as well, so you get a better read on what you need to do for next spring. So you can probably hold off on those if you haven't done them yet. That's why we recommend doing those in the springtime ahead of your fall planting. So all that said, hopefully that helps you guys out with your fall plots. I also mentioned I was going to talk about why we kind of haven't been on the Full Draw Fridays lately, and what's going to be new about them coming up. So we've been pretty covered up with our normal podcast and getting scheduled out for it. Been pretty covered up with work lately, getting those food plots ready, finishing up deer heads at the shop. So that's kind of where I've been on the Friday episodes. Also, I know once you get kind of later into the summer, I don't want to run out of things to talk about or just do them for the sake of doing them. So I like to have good engaging topics when I can. That's part of the reason too. If I don't have something I think is really going to engage you guys, especially, in the window we're at right now, where we're not accountable to anybody but us for having those Friday episodes out. So that's kind of where we've been with the Full Draw Fridays. But moving forwards, and I don't know if this will start next week or the week after, but definitely by the time season rolls around, I'm going to do a little bit different type of episode on Fridays. Now, obviously, it's already different than the Monday episodes. Mondays, we try to have guests or we sit around and talk, about what's been going on, just shoot crap, basically, on Mondays. And then the Fridays is where I kind of get into more tactics and strategies, which I'm still going to do. That is still going to be the main focus of the Friday episodes. But I also think it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to segment it out. We're going to have some stuff that we give you guys every week. We'll have weekly segments that we're going to do. And I would like to do more Q&A on it. That's part of the reason I wanted to start doing the Friday episode in the first place, to do some Q&A. So I want to get to start doing more of that. So we might have a Q&A segment every Friday as well when we can. That's kind of what it's going to be looking like going forwards. I might bring in some of the other guys. Hopefully, as we move along here into the season, they can come in and help out on the Friday episodes as well. But it'll be more of a shorter kind of radio show style, I guess. Not necessarily exactly like a radio, but it'll be that segmented kind of thing. I think we'll have like a tips and tactics segment, and then we'll do some other stuff. Like I said, we'll bring some stuff in weekly, and we might try to get some more engagement with it too, not just with the Q&A. We might have some kind of fan segment every week, so I think that'll be fun, not only for us, but for you guys too that listen and tune in and want to be a part of the show. So that's what you guys can look forward to with the Full Drive Fridays coming up. We've also got some other really cool stuff in the works coming up for this fall. I've talked about it a little bit on the podcast. I'm not going to say much more about it until it's for sure nailed down. But I'm really looking forward to what we got coming up this fall. So I appreciate you guys tuning in again. This week, make sure you tune in Monday for that episode, a regular episode. It'll be number 91. We're just slowly creeping up on 100. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for going along with us throughout all these episodes the past 2 years of us doing this. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it too. So we'll see you on the next one.